Here's what happens when you use test and then have to go to jail. So this is Vitaly, a YouTube prankster who had been openly using testosterone for years. And long story short, he went to the Philippines, started doing these pranks, harassing people and acting like a maniac in public. And he ended up getting arrested and is now facing 20 years in a Filipino jail. And as you can see, this is him before, during the court hearing, looking quite jacked, but also look how crazy disrespectful this guy is. And this is him just 2 months later, lost a ton of size, and he's definitely seen better days. Now obviously he's not getting any special treatment in Filipino jail, no testosterone, no growth hormone, and his hormones will be crashed and he'll definitely be feeling it right now. So if you're gonna go down this route, just know it's all good until the gear gets taken away from you and then your body's just on its own.
Green card. If he does stay outside of the United States for long enough, he stays in the Philippines for long enough, yes, that green card might have some issues. Well, I don't think he somehow ends up in North Korea or Mogadishu or somewhere else, jump through a third country, maybe he ends up in Dubai or somewhere in Europe, or say, yeah, sure, you pay us some money, come in, get a residency, you're fine. And there are plenty of countries that you can buy a residency.
It spirals from here. Vitaly isn't just sitting in a Philippine detention cell, he's trapped in a nightmare with no escape route and no country willing to claim him. After more than 5 relentless months behind bars, the whispers started spreading like wildfire. People were saying he might never set foot in the United States again, or Russia. His own mother, who controls every dollar he has been scrambling to save him, trying every contact, every favor, every possible backdoor deal to bring him home. But the truth is brutal. Both Washington and Moscow have flat out refused to take him. That's right, 2 of the most powerful nations on earth have slammed the door in his face, but then everything changed. At first, there was a glimmer of hope. Deportation rumors exploded online, with posts claiming he was about to be shipped out of the Philippines. People swore he was getting released and sent back with a ticket straight into freedom. Even some smaller news outlets jumped on the story, but those whispers turned out to be nothing but smoke. The truth? The Philippines had once planned to deport him, but when no country stepped forward to take him, the plan collapsed overnight. That's when the Philippine government decided to make an example out of him. Officials didn't hold back. They knew Vitaly's entire brand was built on chaos. They weren't going to let him turn their justice system into a stage for his next viral stunt. The Bureau of Immigration came forward with a crystal clear statement, backed by Commissioner Joel Vito himself. Any foreign national who abuses their hospitality and violates their laws will face consequences, period. No exceptions, no VIP treatment, and absolutely no favors.
In America, making content and doing everything there. So why should Russia take any responsibility for someone who's not even physically connected to the country anymore?
Vitaly was born in Russia, but he was raised in the United States, built his platform in the United States, spent most of his adult life in the United States. His platform is in English, not in Russian. He's a green card holder. How does that make him a Russian YouTuber?
Here's where the mask falls off. They made it clear that the deportation process would not be undermined by flashy publicity tactics. And if anyone, whether a brand, a fan, or a political contact, tried to interfere, the Philippines would push back hard. Jurisdiction became the word of the day. Officials repeated it like a warning. He broke our laws. He broke Philippine laws here in our country, so he has to stand trial here. This wasn't just an arrest. It was a message to every other foreign troublemaker thinking they could use the country as their next backdrop for controversy. And while all of this was playing out, Vitaly's mom and his tight inner circle were working in overdrive. They were willing to pay enormous sums, call in every favor they had, and even explore shady, alternative ways to make this go away. But the more they pushed, the more the government doubled down. This is where it all falls apart. Vitaly's playbook had always been the same. Fly into a country, stir chaos, get arrested, make videos about the drama, and watch the millions of views pour in, and every million views meant hundreds of thousands of dollars, plus brand sponsorships lining up for exposure. It worked in the past. It made him rich, but this time the script flipped. The country that was supposed to be his next viral playground became the place where his entire strategy backfired. Instead of cashing in on controversy, he was stuck watching the game move on without him, because the one country he underestimated was the one that refused to play along.
But if you look very closely, and once again, it's a grainy photo, but I spent some time looking at the photo and looking at the face of this man, Vitaly. And one question I have had, and one question I have with really all the content creators who come to Asia particularly, or come anywhere, and they cross multicultural boundaries, which often ends up in violating the law, is are they truly and deeply repentant for what they have done? Have they gotten to a point where they realize the folly in their actions and they are truly and deeply sorry about that, and they have made things right with that culture? And that's one.
And then came the bombshell. While Vitaly was stuck behind bars, whispers began swirling that some kind of shady exchange had taken place between the Philippine authorities and his own team. People claim money was changing hands to try and grease the wheels for his release. But then, in the middle of all this chaos, disaster struck. Vitaly's mother, already burning through cash on lawyers and legal fees, suddenly became the target of a brutal crypto scam. She sent funds to someone she believed was part of his legal team only to watch it vanish into a digital black hole. No court filings, no help, just gone. And the worst part? It gets worse. This wasn't the only time she was exploited. Rumors piled up that multiple people had been leeching off her desperation, pretending they could help Vitaly while quietly draining his money without lifting a finger to actually save him. The humiliation didn't stop there. While Vitaly's mom was scrambling to fix the mess, people online began turning her into a punchline. Trolls, rivals, and even fellow streamers saw an opportunity to pile on. In one especially low moment, a friend of Neon joked about wanting to marry her, turning her pain into a sick joke for clout. Imagine being mocked while your son sits in a foreign prison, your finances gutted, and your every move scrutinized. This next part, straight up wild. On one side, Vitaly's mother is drowning in stress and humiliation. On the other, people like Sam Frank's mom are actively cursing his name, calling him out publicly before he even faced trial. It's no longer just fans or haters, it's entire families joining in, making it clear that the outrage runs deep.
And now, even more of Vitaly's crew, his friends like Rampage, Aiden Ross, and even Neon, they're all starting to say that Vitaly might face serious consequences in the Philippines. And what they're saying is honestly shocking when you hear it coming from them.
To go to jail is the worst place to go to jail.
Shut the fuck up.
It's so poor.
Places like that,
It's the worst. They don't give a about
Bro, no one there knows English. Like he's just sitting there. Like,
I was just over there after and everybody was telling me they hate his ass. They said he might get there.
yeah.
That's what the Philippine people were telling me.
The prisoners hate him too?
They hate him. Everybody hate him.
He disrespected the culture. He
Oh my
disrespected
God.
the
I was
country.
just
The drama only gets deeper. At this point, it's looking less and less likely that Vitaly will ever escape the Philippines. His situation mirrors Johnny Somali's nightmare in South Korea. Stuck for nearly a year, no way out, no country willing to claim him. The roadblocks are massive. Russia won't take him because, as many Russian creators have bluntly stated, he hasn't lived or worked there in years. He was born in Russia but raised in the United States. His platform, his audience, his entire career, it's all built in English for an American market. As far as they're concerned, Vitaly is an American problem, not theirs. But this next twist? Game-changing. Even the United States is slamming the door shut. As a green card holder, his residency is tied to staying in the country, but the longer he remains abroad, the greater the risk that his green card becomes invalid. Legal analysts have already raised the question, is his status even active anymore? No one knows for sure. And if it's gone, that means he's not just stranded, he's stateless in practice. That leaves only one grim possibility, finding a third country willing to take him. But let's be real, where would that even be? North Korea? Mogadishu? Some backdoor route through a nation desperate enough to overlook his record? Here's where the truth hits hard. Vitaly built his empire on crossing borders to stir chaos. Now the borders are closing in on him. It didn't end there. Some people believe that if Vitaly ever escapes the Philippines, he might try to slip into a country like Dubai or somewhere in Europe, one of those places where money talks and residency can be bought. In certain corners of the world, you can write a big enough check and secure a golden visa, live comfortably and avoid questions about your past. And yes, for someone with Vitaly's history, that might sound like the perfect plan. But here's where the truth hits hard. Vitaly's political history might make even that difficult. From the start, he's been loud and unapologetic about being a MAGA supporter. And in theory, that might earn him sympathy from certain politicians. But politics isn't a simple game of loyalty. For someone like Donald Trump to intervene, there would have to be something in it for him. And in Vitaly's case, that's where things get complicated.
Out of your ass. You said, I do the fake pranks. You said, you're the 1% that doesn't. You're the one who taught me how to do fake pranks when the first video I ever did was filming your fake prank.
This is something that he was eventually forced to admit himself.
So Fusi2 just tried to expose me. Okay, yeah, fake pranks. Everybody knows that. I already admitted it. When Kim started exposing you for faking pranks, you told me that you wanted to take a and fucking shit him.
So the president of Egypt in 2013 invited me and a few other influencers to go to Egypt to climb the pyramids to promote the country for tourism. And we did everything, but the pyramids climb was the last day. So we promoted Egypt, we went to all the beautiful parts of Egypt, promoted, tagged whoever they wanted, to find out that they canceled the pyramids. Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo! I said I'm coming back to all the influencers, like, you're crazy. I said, now I have to do it. That's it. You're gonna tell me something that I was so passionate of doing it, and now you didn't tell me I can't. I'm gonna show you that I can do whatever the I want, because that's how I live by my life, my choice. You cannot tell me I can't climb a pyramid. Yes, I can. Like, that's how you get somewhere in life, by breaking rules.
Yeah.
Not like a law. I break law and rules, but you don't have to break the law to become successful. But you definitely got to break the rules.
It turns darker from here. This is the same man who, years earlier, openly disrespected and betrayed the trust of another world leader, the president of Egypt. Back in 2013, Vitaly was personally invited by the Egyptian president, along with a select group of influencers, to tour the country and promote its tourism. The trip was a PR dream for Egypt. Pictures, videos, and social media posts highlighting the country's most beautiful spots. For days, Vitaly played along. He posed for the photos, he tagged the officials, he smiled for the cameras, but then came the final day when the highly anticipated pyramid climb was suddenly canceled. The official reason didn't matter to him. He took it as a personal challenge. He's admitted, in his own words, that he broke Egypt's laws that day. He returned on his own terms, defied the president's wishes, and climbed the pyramid anyway. Other influencers warned him not to do it, telling him it would be insane, but he bragged about how he needed to prove that no one could tell him no. He called it his choice, proudly saying that breaking rules and even breaking laws was the way he lived his life. For Vitaly, it was about the thrill, about showing that he could do whatever he wanted, wherever he wanted. But here's the problem. Moments like that don't disappear. Leaders remember. And someone like Donald Trump, who values loyalty and optics, would see that clip and think twice before stepping in to help. Why risk political capital for a man who's already shown he'll turn around and disrespect you? But things were about to explode. Vitaly's growing isolation wasn't just coming from governments, it was coming from his own circle. Friends who once cheered him on began quietly stepping back. Names like Rampage, Aiden Ross, and Neon, people who had defended him before, started making comments that painted a darker picture. They spoke about the reality of jail in the Philippines, calling it one of the worst places you could end up. Poor conditions, overcrowded cells, almost no one speaking English. And for someone like Vitaly, who thrived on being loud and provocative, that language barrier was more than just an inconvenience. It was a wall. This part left everyone stunned.
Thing I'm going to say over and over again, I am just a small legal YouTube content creator. My opinion is really, as much as I like to communicate and educate and I enjoy it and I understand multicultural boundaries because number one, I live abroad and I've traveled to over 100 countries and understand their cultures very, very, very deeply, at least as deeply as I can with the best of my time and abilities. I am not the ultimate judge here, right? It's not just be your own judge, it's the judge of those countries and of those people. And those people have to look at their justice systems, have to look at their culture and say, have we gotten to a point where we are okay that this person is rehabilitated? And when I look at the face of this man, I cannot tell. I am not sure one way or another. I'm not convinced one way or another, but I do open up the possibility that Vitaly may be on the road to rehabilitation, and there may be a possibility, my mind is open to the possibility that this man has realized the folly of his actions, is genuinely repentant, and may actually be on that road. It is possible. Once again, I'm not saying whether this is true or false. That may not be true or not true. I don't know. I don't have enough information. But I just look at that and I think about that. And
his friends even claimed that it wasn't just the guards or the system that despised him. The prisoners themselves hated him. He had disrespected the culture, mocked the country, and now he was surrounded by people who had no reason and no desire to treat him kindly. The real chaos starts here. By now, the picture was clear. Vitaly wasn't going to slip out of the Philippines with a cheeky grin and a viral video. The legal walls were too high. The political doors were too firmly shut. And yet there's still that unpredictable factor because this is Vitaly we're talking about. In the past, he's been to countries that wanted him gone, served time, and still come back swinging with even more reckless stunts. He thrives on the idea that no punishment can break him, but this time the stakes are higher. This time, both Russia and America have publicly made it clear they don't want him back. Even if, by some improbable twist, he did manage to walk free, he would be walking into a world where the two most obvious safe havens have slammed their doors in his face. That leaves him with only dangerous or desperate options. Third countries willing to sell him residency, unstable territories with no extradition, or places that might welcome his chaos for their own agenda, and that's a gamble that could put him in an even worse situation than he's in now. And that's when the tables turned. The man who made a career out of crossing borders to create chaos is now learning what it feels like to have those borders close, one after another, until there's nowhere left to go.